Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Podcast. Saturday here, and already a couple games underway. The Wizards and Pistons, I think, are about done. The Knicks and Heat just tipped off. Did have a bet in that game that I hope you guys were able to track on the other video in the comments, as well as on social media there at Land Your Bets all over the place. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and the like. Obviously here it's Land Your Bets on YouTube, but that's where I put out that Jalen Brunson under 27.5 points bet that I liked there. The reasoning, very simple, playing the Heat, big time under, as you know. That was one of the bets that I put out on Friday night for you guys for today's slate, obviously. And I do like the under in that game. I like fewer points in that game, so 27.5 was a lot for Jalen Brunson, who I thought was just had a bit of an overinflated line because he's gone off for sure over the last 15 games. He's had plenty of games over 27 points, getting 28 or more. Not against the Heat, though, and he has not done that since he got to the Knicks against the Heat in the regular season. Playoffs a bit different. He gets a bit more usage, a bit more shot attempts because he and Jay Randall are the only ones really shooting for the Knicks. But I like the 27.5 points under for him in that one. That was one that I was not able to get out on a video before that game started. But I do have 5 more here for you guys. Well, 4 more, 5 including that Jalen Brunson bet. It's only 30 minutes in. Maybe you get a live line there under, just depending on how well he started. We'll see about that in a minute. But Fred VanVleet does have a 15.5 point prop, and I'm taking an over in that game against the Nets. They are on a back-to-back, just wiped the floor with Charlotte, which a lot of teams are going to do, and I picked the Jazz to do last night as well, as you'll see there in the best bet summary. Also have the Jazz to go ahead and beat that team by 8.5. It's up to about 10.5 now if you still want it. I liked it under 10. That's why I grabbed it last night. Hopefully you're able to see the video and get that in time. But Fred VanVleet in these Rockets on the back-to-back now against the Nets, and I still don't care. Fred VanVleet has bad numbers on back-to-backs this season. He's only gotten over this number once with some pretty bad games, despite having a lot of minutes on back-to-backs. I'm not going to put as much stock in that. There were some games that were good teams. The one team that befuddles me that he didn't score against is the Warriors, but that was a different game. That was also a bit more low scoring. Either way, we're looking at this one here versus the Nets, who are just terrible versus point guards. They are bottom 4 defense there in terms of points per game allowed. They do limit assists pretty well against point guards, but that's because they're able to get a lot of shots, a lot of jump shots, a lot of above the break shots. And that's where Fred VanVleet lives, is right in the center of the court, above the break, slightly out on the wing at times, but really he just lives at the top of the key as the dude who's just that's his area of the floor for sure. And that's where Brooklyn is by far the weakest. Even with Mikal Bridges guarding him for a lot of the game last time, still had the 21 points that he scored against this team in the last game out earlier this season at home. And by the way, he scores more away from home than he does at home. I was a bit worried about that at first because the Rockets just don't score nearly as many points on the road as they do at home this season. But that's not the case for him. He's still taking a bit more shots, a few more shots, and scoring a bit more on the road there. You can see 18 points per game. So I like him to get the 16, even though Houston's in a bit of a trap situation. They are playing a lot of their guys, and including FEV, who should get at least 35 minutes. He plays a lot of minutes on back-to-backs as a guy that has great stamina and that they don't mind leaving out there. Ime doesn't for 40 minutes or so. He wants Fred VanVleet on the floor for a lot of the game is the main point here. And the heavy PNR action with Alpi Sengun is the reason that he was able to big part of the reason that he was able to get 21 points last game against this team, because of the fact that they're not very good against that, to be frank. That's a play that they struggle with if you look at that play type there. So we're going to take him as the only player prop that I have outside of this game that I'm going to get into right now with you, which is the Lakers and the Dubs. And there's just a lot of unknown in the other games. We have back-to-backs for Milwaukee and the Pelicans. We saw a bunch of guys either questionable or out. Chris Middleton's out for that one. Zion Williamson's out in that one. A lot of unknowns in other games. The Mavs are going to have a bunch of guys sitting tomorrow. But either way, there's injury reports are a complete mess right now. We still don't know if Kristaps is playing. I don't even have more clarity on these games that start in 2 hours from when I'm recording this for you guys. So this is the one I do have clarity on. And that's why I'm going for the Lakers and the Dubs here. And I'll talk about what the pick is here in just a sec, but you can see it's a -1.5 spread for the Warriors, which is wild. Maybe there is a bit of fear that LeBron and AD are actually not going to play because they're both questionable, but they're both always questionable. So I'm banking on them playing. And I'm banking on these numbers kind of holding, so, although it's a really wild total. That should say 243.5, for the total there at the end of the here. It's 243.5, obviously not 43.5, is what we're going with for the total. And that seems really high for how these teams have played, especially in Golden State. But Golden State doesn't have much defense right now, as we just saw against the Kangs, and as they continue to give up open shots. On the road, at home, you can see the Dubs are a bit better than on the road defensively. But as far as scoring, a few fewer points there, still 117 or so. And they have the type of scoring that you can get buckets against this Lakers team, who has been average at best on defense. To be honest with you, they've been mostly winning when they score a bit more. And they have some nice wins against choppier, slower teams. I don't think that's going to be the case. This will probably be pretty open. Both of these teams are bad at defending what the other one does. But let's just put it this way. The recent matchup history is wild when you look at the pace, right? The recent history the square at the bottom of the page, the 105 pace average last season, because it started out where the first game was 115, then 105, then a 103 pace, and then a 99 pace. So every game slowed down as they went on. I think that might still hold true here. I don't know why this game wouldn't continue to be a fast pace. The Lakers still playing at a top 7 pace in the league on the season, and with or without LeBron James, they're flying down the floor. D'Lo being on the court for about 33 minutes a game right now is a huge reason for that as well. He likes to take shots pretty early in the shot clock, which ups the pace. And obviously LeBron wants to get it and go when he has the stamina and the legs, which he should with a number of days off. Only played a couple games in the last week and a half or so. So he should be geared up for this one on a Saturday night. But let's get into some of the bets that I have for it. The first one is a Playa Prop. All three of them are, to be honest. There's a same game parlay in here too, just a spoiler. But AD over 25.5 points, like him there to get the points in this one, simply just because he and D'Lo are scoring from the exact spots on the floor that this Warriors team is the weakest. That would be inside of 9 feet. Everything that's a little baby hook or otherwise for AD should be there for him. Even with Draymond back, this is also including the last 3 games that Draymond's been back. The Warriors are actually even worse now in terms of shots inside of 5 feet or 9 feet and 5 feet. But really, I say 9 feet because that's where AD is also going to get a lot of little baby hooks. He's going to get a lot of stuff off the glass. He will get plenty of dunks, plenty of lobs, plenty of things that he's able to get, but also just the ability to shoot right over Draymond and company, who are not going to be big enough to guard him. And I don't know how much Looney is going to be out there. It's been a little bit random for him in terms of but it's not that random. He plays against bigs, but this is not the type of big that he plays against. He comes out and plays against guys that want to bang down low, a little bit more back to the basket. AD's capable of that, but if you put Kevon on him, he's just going to go right around him and finish around the rim with his length and his athleticism that Kevon Looney just frankly does not have either of those things. Decent length, but mostly just a really big body and knows how to use it. That's not really helpful against Anthony Davis, who can play from the 3-point line and get all those shots inside of 9 feet and those little hooks and floaters and whatever he wants, really. So the 15 field goal attempts that he's shooting in that area is why I like it so much. He's going to keep getting there, and he's rested. He also has played twice now in the last 5-6 days, so they've got a decent amount of rest to be able to come in this one and score some points, and that's why the points keep going up. And sharp money has been on the over for this game, so I'm going to go to another over. Kid's on a heater, man. I mean, look at it. What has he done lately has been absolutely absurd. I'm still under the impression that maybe it's because he's unwittingly auditioning for a new team and they're throwing him out there because he's hot and they want him to be hot so they can get rid of him and get some other stuff that they need, including defense around the wing. But until he's not a Laker or until he stops scoring 20 points a game, I got to start backing him a bit more. He's playing in the last 10. He's at 23.5 a game, 33 minutes, and 8.5 3-point attempts a game, which is a big part of this. Is he allowed to shoot? Is he getting the shots, or is he just getting yanked because he's taking bad shots? And he's shooting 38, 39% from 3. He was at about 44 for a while as well. Hasn't even really cooled down. In his last 5, he's even better than this number over the last 10. He's up to about 27 points per game over his last 5. So he's gone absolutely bonkers. And all of his shots are coming, you see here, he's taking 14, 15 shots a game. 8.5 of them from 3, right? He's a big threat from out there for them right now. And Golden State vulnerable against the above the break, vulnerable against point guards. That's going to be the correlation there. If you're not good at guarding the area of the floor that point guards dominate and control, then they're good shooters, then they're going to go ahead and you're going to have bad numbers against point guards overall, and you're going to have bad numbers above the break. That's going to be the correlation there. And that's what we like here for why we fade the Warriors a little bit, and more so just continue to support D'Lo, because if he is going to come down to earth, this doesn't seem like the game that he should do it. If where he's able to score from is exactly where Golden State is the weakest, right? Last bet is a same game parlay, and I'm throwing Jonathan Kuminga here into the same game parlay with AD and D'Angelo. I'm not even going to really dumb down their stats. I'm just going to leave them at the props that I like them at, because you saw I put a full unit on both D'Angelo Russell's bet and a full unit on AD's bet, right? Now for Jonathan Kuminga, to add that to the same game parlay, we're going to put 0.3 on it. His prop is at 18.5, and that's really high. Even for a dude who's scoring 25 a game rather in his last 5 games. I don't know why he would slow down. If you want to take him separately as well, that's fine. I just didn't want so much exposure that I had all 3 of these dudes with their individual bets plus the same game parlay. But if you add this dude to it, like, I gotta believe that he's really firmly now in the rotation. Whether he starts or not, he should start. Draymond might start starting. I don't know, and I don't care. The point is he's getting 30 minutes a game, and that's what I care about. Over the last 5, and even 5 games ago when they played Chicago, he was only in there for 24 minutes in that game for Steve Kerr-based reasons that I still don't fully get, and I'm super frustrated by, because like a couple other people in the media, I am a massive Jonathan Kuminga fan. I don't know how you watch him play and go, why isn't he playing 32 minutes a game? You want Andrew Wiggins in there over him? That's insanity. Anyway, he's got to stay in there now. Even with Draymond in there, he's been in there for 30 minutes a game, like I said, over the last 3, actually up to a little bit above 30 minutes a game in the last 3 specifically. So he's got to finally get his due and continue to have it. I'm going to bank on him to keep going with it. So let's add him to the same game parlay here with the other 2 that we just took in the other bets. But if you want to go ahead and keep him as a single bet there straight, support that as well. That's all the time we got. So let's run through these bets. As I told you at the top, we've got the Knicks and the the Jazz in a couple bets that we made on Friday night for Saturday, under 218.5 for the Knicks and Heat game, which is 42 minutes in now, and the 42 minutes total time, not in the game. 42 minutes. It's 12:42 p.m. Whatever. You get my point. The Charlotte and Jazz. We got the Jazz winning that game. Charlotte on a back-to-back. Poor Hornets. They're just going to continue to just dwindle down into nothing. And that'll mean a lot of shots for Brandon Miller. So maybe he's going to do well in this one. If you go to the bottom, these are the bets we just threw in. Jalen Brunson, I got in on social media and in the comments of the first YouTube video. Hopefully you guys were able to get that. Second bet here, we got Fred VanVleet, and if you get him over 15.5 points, if you can only get him at 16.5 before that game takes off, I still like it, but I love the him to only need 16, to be honest, because that's a really nice threshold for the roughly 12, 13 shots that he should take in this game. And then we got AD over 25.5 by himself there, 1 unit. D'Angelo Russell over 18.5, 1 unit. You can see the minus 105 on DraftKings is like they're starting to be like, yeah, okay, we're going to keep raising this number up for you. It's been at 15.5, 16.5. It's at 18.5 now, but you get minus 105. So I'm fine with that. And then the same game parlay that gets us 2.34 on our money there on 0.3 units. So it's 0.3 to win about 6.4, $64, put it that way, right? For Jonathan Kuminga to get 15 points added to all that stuff. So we've got 6.3 units that we've shelled out here on Saturday, winning 5.9 max if it comes back to us. So I'm feeling good about that. I know there's not as many plus bets in this one as we could, but there's 12 freaking games, and I wanted to get a few out there for you guys because I'm playing these things myself today, and they're going to be watching a lot of hoops. So continue to follow along if you would. I appreciate all you guys coming in. Had a pretty good night. On Friday, we lost a little bit of money. I'll be going through the units here a little bit more, like I said, weekly, monthly. So for the Monday videos, if I get one out on Sunday, which I'm not going to be doing probably for tomorrow because it's football day, baby. So we're going to be looking at NFL, but we are going to have an NBA video for Monday. That's where I'll go over the week stuff, probably go over the month stuff with you as well, because January is going to be coming to a close anyway. So we'll see how we did each week, how we did in the month, and I'll put that stuff out there for you rather than the nightly stuff, so we can just get these bets going and go from there. All right. Appreciate you guys. Please subscribe to the page. Like I said, like the video if you would as well. Check out College Hoops because there's a massive slate today. Oaks has been crushing. He's got a great video up with some college hoops bets for you guys for Saturday. So best of luck. And until I see you next, happy betting.